Welcome back, guys. This week we're working on our 91 Buick LeSabre. We're changing this thing called a regulator window tape. GM did this for many years, so this video will apply to any vehicle that has a window regulator tape. We've got our book, which we can see through our windshield here. That's our instructions for doing this one. That's the removal process. And then, of course, we have an installation process we will go through. And I've seen a few videos done on this where they took the regulator out of the door. This is a video where you don't need to do that. So you can save drilling the rivets out of the door and all that good junk. So step one is to get our window taped in. So I got just your tape here. I think this is either 3/4 inch or 1 inch wide. I'm not sure which. Same tape I use for when I'm doing pinstripes. So I'm just going to take the tape. I'm going to take the tape and we're just going to do this with it. We're going to put a couple strips of tape on the window in various locations so that the window don't fall when we pull the regulator tape out. And of course the book says we want to put one along the side here. So we're going to get in between the... We want to put one on this side here like this. There, our window's taped in. And that should hold it. Next thing it says, we got to take this door trim off. Let me show you where the hidden bolt is. So let's go ahead and move you down here so you can see the door disassembly process. The hidden bolt is in here. Took me about 2 days to find it. You gotta pull your handle trim back, and the bolt sits, it's a big Phillips screw and it sits right there. There's one on both sides if I remember it correctly. Gotta get in here. Yeah. See, there's another one right there. So we'll get those two first. You're going to need what they call a PH3 Phillips screwdriver. A 2 will work, but as you can see, I'm struggling with the 2. I do have a PH3 Phillips screwdriver, but we're just going to work with this for right now. Yeah, if you don't know where to look, you'll never find these 2 screws, and you'll wonder why the panel won't come off. They're hidden behind this strap right here. The rest of them are really easy to find because they're right out in the open, because there's a bunch of them along the side. There's another one in here. So this is what you need your Phillips screwdriver for. There's a little notch in the back of your panel. You want to just kind of pry up and slide back and then pull that back. Oh, do not disconnect your battery. You're going to need the battery on in order to do this job, because you gotta be able to work the power window motor. Alright, so this, I'm trying to remember how I got this out last time. I think we got to pull that screw right there, and then this piece slides back, and then you can get to those Phillips screws right there. So let me get that done real quick. Yeah, I tore this door apart once before to fix the light, because the light wire had gotten cut. So that's how I know what all these screws are. And then this should slide forward and come back. Let me see here. If I remember how this comes apart. got a slide. There it goes. There's a slide in the back. You gotta pick up on it. Sometimes you gotta use a flat screwdriver to get it. You gotta pull this up because you gotta be able to access these two screws down here in the door. Let me see if I can get this back to slide forward. Wait, nope, there's a screw in the back. Just remember that one. So, pull this screw out right here. It's above the reflector. It's a chrome screw, so make sure it goes back in. Alright, and pull that long stupid screw that comes out. So your two chrome screws so far go into the armrest. And then you should be able to slide this forward and pull it off if it wants to come off. Alright. Okay, I got the trim piece off. There's a ledge, or there's a spot right here. You got to grab it, pull towards you, and it comes right off. And then you got to feed this through, and that was a bit of a pain. I went ahead and unhooked the connector going to my light down here so it wouldn't run our battery down, even though we got all the other lights on in the car. This right here is a T10. You're going to use that for this screw right here. Because you got to get this screw out. And that way you can get your power door lock panel loose. Alright, so you'll just let this hang for just a minute. There's a connector in here that we'll unhook later and we'll take that piece off. So, this thing is a bear because of that little slot right there. You got to line it up on your pin so that your lock and unlock will work properly. It's probably the worst part of this job is getting that lined up. You got to get the armrest off so you can get these two big Phillips screws out. These hold the armrest on. There's a couple more under here that you got to get to. So you probably want to wait to take your power window or your power door lock assembly off until after you get the armrest off. Now I don't remember, but I don't think you're going to be able to successfully take, well, yeah you will, because you can get it past the seat belt. I'm putting all my screws in a magnetic tray so I don't lose them. That, and you can keep inventory of what you got for screws. Now if you have a PH3 bit and you want to put it in your drill or your socket or your ratchet or whatever you got to make this job go faster, that'd be the way to go. Before you start this job, you want to get like the armrest off and do a thorough inspection of where all your screws are. That way you know where to go. You may need a magnet for some of these because these like to get stuck inside the hole. Let's see. We got to take two screws out that holds the bottom of the thing in. Our armrest is about ready to come off. We don't want it off just yet. So there's a screw down here in the corner. It's a small Phillips PH2. There's one here. It's a short one. And there's another one down under here. It's also a PH2. And then this lower section comes off. It's a short screw, so you got to be careful when you pull it out. You don't lose it in the dirt. There's the other one. And then this piece, I think that's all of them, should slide down and off like that. That's the bottom of your armrest here. Then I think there's one more big screw down here in the bottom. Let me show you where this one's at. So you got your two little screws that are there and there. And you got that big screw right there. So that's the next big screw. Once that comes out, then your armrest will come loose. And you have to take that bottom piece off because this is going to fit up over the seat belt. And then once this is off, then you can get the rest of the bolts out, or the screws out, to hold the door panel to the car. So let's get that last big screw out, then I'll show you how this armrest comes off. Now if your car is different in the manner that it doesn't have the automatic, in quotes there, seat belt, then yours comes apart however yours comes apart. This applies to 86 to 91 H bodies, which is basically all these cars that have the seat belt system. So we got that screw out. I think that's all we needed. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. You want to gently tug. You don't want to be yanking on it, because if you miss something, and I think I did, yeah, there's another screw hidden behind the reflector. So, get out of the way here so you can see this. All right, grab my screwdriver here. There's another one hidden behind the reflector. So you want to take your flat screwdriver and you want to pop your reflector out. Gently, of course. It drives me nuts when this thing comes out. There's a screw hidden down in here. You got to get that one out. I think that's the last one. Try not to break your reflector. I guess that's the only advice I could give you on this part, is try not to break your reflector when you get it taken out. And if it does break, then as long as the pieces aren't that hard to get to, you can probably glue it back together. And then on this screw right here, if you don't have a magnet, take your flat screwdriver and pry it forward a little bit, and it'll bring that screw out. I feel like there's another screw in here somewhere. No, we just have to pick it up over the seat belt. Just got to pick it up over the seat belt now. See, a lot of this job's just getting the door torn apart. Make sure I didn't miss a screw somewhere. Nope, I didn't. Okay, and then you'll pull your armrest up, and then without breaking it, you want to, well, let's do this, because you're not going to be able to feed this back through the armrest. You're going to have to take your wiring loose. So we're going to unhook it from here. You just take your flat screwdriver or a pick and you just lift up on that tab and you just pull back, and that should come apart pretty easily. I've had this off once already. Sometimes a pick works better, because then you could pry it up with the pick while you pull out on it. There's that one. And then your other one is on the bottom of your control. And let's say that you don't want to do all of that. You got two T10s right here. We'll take the two T10s out like this with the appropriate screwdriver, of course. And take that T10 out. See, these are different than the ones for the door handle. These are micro size. These are itty bitty ones. You want to set them off to the side so you don't lose them. See, and then you'll just take this screw out, and you don't even have to take them both out, you just take one side out. And then there's your window control. We'll put our mirror and everything over here with our armrest parts. And we'll take our armrest off, just like that. We'll set our plastic piece back over there. Alright, so we got our door handle loose here. We've got, take that off right there. That's so we can get it past the mirror. Okay, we'll just somehow pop that off. I think this has got tabs in it, so we're going to have to go get our trim tool. Make sure you got all the screws out because they like to hide screws in these cars. So make sure you got all your screws out, make sure you got all your trim pieces loose. And I think they got a bunch of them metal pull screws. You just want to take your fingers and you want to just take them inside the door here and just kind of tug on it. Make sure you got all the hardware out. Okay, and see, we're ready to take the door apart. Let me go grab a trim tool. Yeah, let's go grab our trim tool now. Make sure that we don't have anything hidden underneath any of this carpet here. So, alright, so take your trim tool and you take it down and you just kind of pry back like this. And you're going to take your trim tool and just run it across the bottom. And you feel, it feels like a clip, you'll pry forward like this. I think they use plastic trim clips on this one, extends. Alright. There we go. Got some on this far side here that are going to be hard to get to because of the space involved. There's that one. There's that one. Just plastic piece off the mirror there and just toss that. We got one screw heading back here. That's what's holding this door trim on, just one screw right back here. That's the other reason you gotta take that piece off, because there's this screw right here. And this screw becomes critical when you get to put the trim panel back on, or the door card back on, because it helps align them plastic clips. All right, and we got to get this seat belt retainer up. I think we can pop that up with this right here. Let me see. I only had this thing off one time. I don't remember how I did it. We got two screws behind it. And then we can take this door apart. This is a ordeal right here, trying to get this door apart. Alright. Here's those two screws. And there's your door panel. Now there's a bolt back here that holds the track on here. I don't think we need to worry about taking that apart. One of our things got stuck in there, so we got to pry it out real quick. There we go. Sometimes you can get at it from the top too if you need to. Here's our door trim. All right, we'll just kind of take our power window assembly and all this other stuff and just kind of feed it through the door. Now there is a slot cut right in the back of the trim here. That's so you can get this panel off. So now we got our panel off. Set it on top of the car where it's nice and flat so it doesn't get damaged. Alright, so this is called the weather barrier. Okay? We have to remove the weather barrier. If your car doesn't have one, then you can skip this step. If your car still has its weather barrier, you need to pull it back. You need to pull it back far enough to get to the regulator. Because you're not ready to pull the tape on the regulator. You can do the same thing on this where you just pull the electrical through the plastic. Like this. When you go to put it back together, it's pretty self-explanatory which holes go where. See, you gotta pull this tape back. Alright, so your regulator is all of this in here. You've got your window motor sits over here. And somewhere in here we gotta locate the, I think we're gonna have to take the seat belt loose on this one. Let's see, step 1, remove trim panel water deflector. Step 2, disconnect tape from tabs on regulator. It's going to be up underneath the back side here. So I'm going to have to go get my flashlight so I can see where that tab is, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got it off the regulator. What I had to do is I had to reach my hand through this hole down here, and you can grab a hold of it. You'll feel like a little bit of a loop on the end of the regulator. I just pulled it out and just grabbed it and just yanked down real hard on it. You can see the tape hanging out in the door there. So let's see what next step says. Run tape out of regulator using motor. Okay, this is why you can't have your battery disconnected, because now we got to run the tape out of the regulator using the motor. So it doesn't say what direction to go. By the way, a mirror would be great for this job. I got my mirror out and it works beautiful for this job. You're going to need it if you've never done this before. Alright, so it says run tape out of regulator using motor. Okay, pull tape and regulator guide from regulator. Alright, so this is going to be a little bit of trial and error stuff. So we're going to have to, you're going to hear the dinger go off because the door is open. And I think the door only works in the on position. It doesn't work on the accessories. As soon as I get my key to work, make sure I think the windows, yeah, it only works in, I got the spare key, so, alright, so, okay, so we gotta run the regulator tape out of the regulator using the motor. Well, that ain't making any sense because the window's still attached to the regulator. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense. Unless I didn't unhook it from the right spot, which is quite possible. Alright, let me do a little bit of research here and I'll be right back, because apparently we did something wrong here. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the regulator tape out. I kind of went a little off instruction with it because they don't tell you that in the instructions that you're supposed to be able to take this little piece off right here. So what I did is I rolled the window all the way down left this piece on, and then this slides inside the track that's underneath the glass. So my glass is currently down at the moment. So next thing we need to do is we need to take this piece off the end, which is not that hard to do, I don't suppose. You need to pay attention to which way this thing faces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave that on there. We're going to get the new tape measured out. Then we're going to go ahead and just transfer this piece to the other piece. That way we don't screw nothing up. And then this feeds back into the track and goes back around. Then when we get the window all the way up, because we're going to put this back in the window, we're going to face that, we're going to feed that through into the regulator, roll the window up, and then when we get the window up, we'll hook our last 3 tabs right here. We'll hook those last 3 tabs onto the window regulator, and then we'll test our window to make sure it goes up and down like it's supposed to. And then just put the door panel back together. So let me grab the other tape real quick so that we can get this done. So this is your part number right here, 74403. It's made by Dorman. Now there's a video out there that I've been referencing for this because this is my first time doing this. He stretched his out and let it flatten while he took the door apart. I of course didn't do that, so we're going to be messing with it all looped up. This is what it looks like when you get it. So we got to take this tape off of here. Cut the tape off. And we'll peel the tape off the outside of it. And we'll just discard that. And this is your tape right here, okay? Next thing we need to do is we need to measure and cut. So let me get you up on the bench so that you can see what we're going to do here. Alright, so we need to take our tape and we need to start on this end down here. And the best way to do this is, since it's got notches in it, we're going to line our notches up and we're going to tape it together. Same tape that we used to tape our window, and we're going to tape this together. And we're going to do this so that we get an accurate measurement. There, now our ends are taped together. They're not going anywhere. And then we're going to take our new tape and we're going to lay it out across our old tape like this. This is probably why you want to have it flat so that it works easier. And we're going to take our tape and we're going to flatten it out across here the best as we can. Make sure you keep your holes lined up when you do this. And if anything, we might have to cut just a little bit off the end, but hopefully not too much. Alright. So another way you can do this is if you're having issues like I am where it's not wanting to stay straight, go down so many and tape it like this. As long as your ends are staying together, you'll be fine. And we'll just kind of just straighten it like that. We'll come down. We'll tape it again down here. If you're a nut and bolt kind of person and you got some like stove bolts and you want to stuff some stove bolts in it to hold it together, you can do that. That was an idea that I had. Put stove bolts in it. And as long as you feed it down like that, okay. Now you can take a measuring tape and measure this if you so desire. I might do that just on the safety sake of things, but it looks like everything's lining up, so I don't think I'm going to have to. Alright, so looks like we're going to have to cut it off. I'm going to go a little extra with it just in case. We're going to cut it right there. So let me go get a pair of scissors, and I'll be right back. We're going to cut that off, and we're going to get this thing installed. All right, so we're going to try to cut this using two different tools. We got our scissors here, and then we got our tin snips. So let me get you over here where you can see. Now I'm going extra long with this. The book says you need to cut it exact. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it just as it's coming out the other side. We're going to cut it. Now if you cut this too short, what's going to happen is when you roll your window up, it's going to fall out of the regulator tape's going to fall out, and you're going to have a problem. So that's why I want to cut it long. And I'm using my tin snips because that's the first thing I grabbed. I didn't even bother to grab the other scissors, so I don't know. I'm just used to cutting with my tin snips. Alright, so now we're going to take our end and we're going to assemble it in here. So to do that, we need to twist and lift. That gets that out of there, and then we're going to twist and drop this piece down in there like this. Just like that. Simple as that. That's how we transferred it over. Now we can come back through and take our tape off. And then what we're going to do before we go any further is we're going to compare our length and make sure we got the right length, because there's a couple spots where it did that, so I want to make sure we got the right length. If you want to, and I think it'd be probably a good idea since we got the old tape loose, measure it. Make sure you have the right measurement, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my tape, I'm going to measure this and make sure that it matches before I put it in. Okay, so here's our new tape, here's our old tape. Our old tape, you can see where it's been grabbing a little bit. Yeah, if you were able to feel this, you'd feel how it was kind of being dug up. That's why the window wouldn't go up and down. So, alright, so I need to lay this out and measure it. So let me go measure this and I'll be right back. And then we'll get this put back in the door and start getting our door back together. It'll be just one moment. Okay, so we got it all back together. I didn't tape none of it because it's really hard to film inside of a door. But we're going to do something with our Boroscope. Here in a minute, we're going to run the Boroscope into the door, and you're going to see what it looks like inside the door. So, get my camera here so you can see my Boroscope. And we're going to run that thing up in the door so you can see what it looks like inside. Okay, there's the inside of your door. That's the regulator and the motor, okay? So if you scroll up a little bit further, you can see, let me see what camera B has for me here. Camera B is the door, camera C. That's the motor. Let me change it back to camera A. Right. Yeah, that's me. Okay, so that's camera A. There's the track. You can see that regulator tape sitting right there. And there's the wraparound. You can see at the top there is the door, the window glass. So that big long wrap that you see right there, that's the track. So this thing goes down that track, and then there's like a loop on the bottom, and that's how it works. Let me see if I can show you the top of the regulator here. Top of the window. Let me see if I can get it to do it here. Camera C. Okay, let's see here. Alright, there is a spot. You can't quite see it here. There's the tape off the camera here. Pull that tape back. See if I can show you this thing. Ah, there we go. There's your window motor. There's your window motor plug. And if you go up a little bit further, you can see the part where you got to attach it to the bottom of the regulator. We're not going to be able to show you because I can't get this thing to aim for nothing. There we go. Yeah, see that right there? That's your window regulator. And then the bottom of that are 4 little tabs that you got to put the end of your tape on. So if you can get that far, you'll have this done. Now I'm gonna tell you in advance, it is a real bear to get them 4 little tabs on that tape. Also, don't break your finger like I did. I broke my finger trying to get the little end back into the bottom of the door. There's a track on the bottom of the window. That little black piece that goes on the end, that goes into that piece on the bottom of the door, the bottom of the window. So the best way to do that is don't hook the 4 tabs up to the bottom until you've got that in the door. So you'll roll the window all the way down. You'll take that piece and you'll line it up because it sits on a swivel. Okay, so you can swivel it back and forth. You'll put that on a swivel. You'll line it up inside that track. Then you'll slowly lift the window up, and what that's going to do is that's going to push that guide, it's called a guide, back into the bottom of the window, and then you want to slowly roll your window up and down a couple times, make sure it fits. Now my window is still doing the same thing it did last time, where it was being hard to move up and down. So I'm thinking either my door trim is too tight up against the glass, or I got to clean my glass and try it again. Because sometimes if you have dirty glass, it'll cause your window to be slow going. So let's get our door put back together here real quick, and then we'll discuss a few things when we're done here. So this goes back like this. We got our track back on, so we can go ahead and put our plastic back up. All right, let's see, we got to get our stuff through our tape here. Now you'll notice that this has got 2 slits in it, because one slit is for the window controls, and then the other slit is for the mirror and the light for the bottom of the door. So you'll feed the other one through the bottom like this. Make sure all your window electrical comes through the plastic, because the last time I did this job, I didn't get it all through and I had to go back through and start over on it. See how it's kind of hanging up right there? So let's go ahead and set this through the bottom instead of through the top. I might have been wrong on this. See if we can get our window back through there like that. It's getting dark out. It's supposed to rain tonight. I'm trying to get this car done real quick. So I was supposed to have had it done yesterday, because yesterday was a sunny day. And it turned out to be a beautiful day to do this job. And as usual, we had technical difficulties. So if you want to, if it doesn't bother you, you can always tape this up. But I don't really care, because it's just plastic. So let's make sure our door seal comes up forward here so that that will self-align when it goes back together. What I am going to do though is I'm going to probably tape this up down here so it doesn't hang loose. This part down here got ripped. So, but that's totally your preference. Let's see, we need to get our door panel back on. So let me go grab some tape real quick and we'll get this door panel taped up. And then I'll get this panel back up and we'll continue on. I don't know how the hell this camera is doing this, but you're getting more light than I am. It's like almost pitch black here, and you're getting better light than I am. So kudos to you. All right, let's get our door card back on. Be careful not to destroy it, because this thing is heavy. All right. So what we need to do now is we need to make sure that all of our door pieces go back together in reverse order. So what that means is that we got to put our seat belt properly through here. So that means this tucks over the outer belt. And then we got to pick this stuff up. We got to set that through like that and let that hang down. Then we've got to run our electrical through. So we've got our power lock panel that goes in the top. We'll set that in like that. Let that hang down. We got our windows and our mirrors that goes in here. Now there is one wire. Actually, we're going to pull them all through. Make sure all your wires come through. Now this piece here fits into this trim up here. Do it carefully enough and you won't damage it. You got to make sure that all your screw holes line up too. Make sure this presses back in. Alright, and then there's a couple, I got to add a couple things to this real quick before we pop it together. I lost a couple of my plastic retainers in the door again, which I was figuring that would happen because that happened last time. Let me see if I can get that bottom one back in at least. I got enough on the side, I don't really need to worry about the side one going back in, but this bottom one, I do need that one to go back in the door. Some of these are real easy to get back in. This one's a bit of a bear. Alright, that pop back in when we get it back together. Alright, so let's get it lined back up in our chrome trim here. If you need to pull your wiring out, pull your wiring out, let it hang down. Make sure that your door handle gasket is where it needs to sit. Line it up inside your trim. Make sure that all your hardware is in the right spot, because this thing's got to press into this top chrome right here. Once it's pressed into the chrome, go down and line up your, you can reach from the back side, you can find the hole that goes to your plastic clip. You can pop your plastic clip back in like that. Once you get most of your clips back in, then the door will hang on its own, then you can get your screws back in. So let's get over here on this bottom section here. See if we can get this. See if I can find the slot there. You don't have to punch it in like that. Just press it in, because these are the real easy ones to get down in there. Just make sure that your holes line up and that you're not crooked. You'll be just fine. Do that, push it right back in, no problem. Alright, then we can get the upper half of the door back together. So we'll go ahead and we'll get our two big screws that go behind our door handle here. You need to pick it up and start each screw individually. Because if you got to look inside here, and then you got to move the door handle to where you can start the screws for it. Once you get that done, you can just tighten these screws up and you're good to go at that point. So you can get the little baby screws in when you get to that point. I'm just trying to get the big screws in that need to go in right now, like these two in the handle. Okay. And you get this one tightened up, and then you can tuck these corners back into your door handle here. Actually, this is called a door pull. Modern cars, they have them, but they're tucked into the armrest. This is what they used to be in the old days before they went and did the other version. This is a door pull. This is what you use to grab your door and close it, in case you didn't know what that was for. Alright, so then the next section is going to be getting this lined up. I usually just slide that down like that, turn it, and then make sure that that's lined up. The best way to check it is to work your door lock. And it's lined up. So that went in easier than I was expecting it to. Now this has a T10 in it. We got to look for our T10 in our bucket here. This is the long T10. This is the long T10 that goes in here. You got a couple short T10s that go into your power window switch. Well, we only pulled one of them out. There's two of them all together if you pull both of them out. Then you want to line that back up. Make sure she's set. Make sure that your latch still works. And then holding it with one hand, pull your door latch back, and then feed the screw in from the back side. Get a couple turns on it by hand, and then you can go ahead and just get it with the... Hold your thumb like this, pull it back, then you can get in there and tighten this screw up. And then this screw's done. Alright, I'll go ahead and let that go. We got two screws that go under this cover and one screw behind there. So those we got to look for in our bucket here. Alright, so that's going to be these ones right here. These are for the door latch. Couldn't leave you guys without an update. I got it all cleaned up. Got the window clean. As you can see, it's nice and shiny now. Pretty crappy job cleaning the window, I admit, but you know, it is what it is. Unfortunately, even though the regulator tape needed to be changed, it didn't do anything. I think what we got here is a motor situation, because it goes down okay, but it doesn't go back up okay. So I'm not going to try it again, because I just fought for the last while here to get that to go back up. So I think in the spring is one of our 2025 videos. We might be doing a door motor, which is probably what we needed to do anyway. I wanted to show you the book real quick before I called it a night. There's a manual version of it here for the manual windows. This is what we did today. See, it shows the window being tipped. How are you going to tip the window if you have to tape it in place? That was an issue that I came across. What I ended up doing was at the bottom of that track, that's where that guide comes through, because like I mentioned earlier, there's a little metal guide on the bottom of the window. When you get that all the way to the bottom, this track right here, it goes just like that. And so what you have to do is right here, actually. That little piece right, I get my book to stay put, it's trying to storm. That piece right there, the oval piece is what goes into the window track, and the square piece is what the tape attaches to. So you get the window all the way down, you can get that out of there as long as you take the 3 or 4 pins off the back of the regulator, like it shows in this step up here where it says to disconnect tape from regulator tabs. Yeah, if you do that, then you can roll the window all the way down, get it out of the track, and then you can pull the tape out the bottom and then feed it back through, and then you can slide the guide back into the bottom of the window and then run it back up. And it works real easy if you do it that way. So what we're going to end up having to do is we're going to have to take the window motor out. So I will research how to do that. That'll be another video for another day. Like I said, it's getting ready to storm here, so I'm trying to get everything buttoned up for the night. So it got dark quick around here, like it does in this time of year. So we'll close up our Buick book. Close up our big Buick book right here. And I'll look and see if we have to do the motor through the ESM, which is the electric service manual. If it's an ESM related repair, then I'll let you know when we do it. So thanks for watching. I hope this helps you. I'm sorry about bits of it not getting recorded. It's like I said before, it's hard to record inside of a door, but I do the best I can. I hope the Boroscope information helped you, and we'll see you on the next one, guys.